Streaming just isn't feasible.
Test.
There's too many services now.
The music is down.
I mean, do we want to talk about like how we got into the whole streaming?
Hello and welcome all to the live podcast recording of the 950 Club Anime Podcast. I have Jack to my right. I have Edwin to my left. We have our friend Alberto to the left.
Welcome.
And
Everyone.
I am Jamal. And we are here to speak about the state of streaming.
Yes.
On our podcast, which you can find anywhere that you listen to podcasts, we have talked extensively about streaming as it has evolved. So as our podcast first started, that's kind of when the merger of, or when Sony acquired Funimation and Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's kind of been the starting point of this streaming journey for us.
Well, the 950 Club is an anime podcast, and so it started because we started talking about streaming because we started talking about where to find anime shows online through the different streaming services that they were doing, whether it be Netflix or hidive or Crunchyroll or Funimation. And so when we saw that Sony had acquired Funimation and then they had acquired Crunchyroll, we were, nervous because we were like, all right, is this going to reduce the number of shows we're going to be able to watch? Is this going to reduce the availability of shows that are being produced by, different studios?
Right. And so this has been a journey for us, and we are here. It seems like every time we turn our head, there is more streaming news for us to cover.
This year alone.
Yeah. So the recent news we have is Disney and Netflix again raising their prices, and Disney looking into the password
Crackdown, yeah.
The password crackdown.
Yeah.
Again.
Like, I honestly feel that I think that Disney is going to start moving away from their streaming service. And I think it's going to start with their Star Wars shows. I think we're going to see fewer Star Wars shows, and I think they're going to start going back to movies because I think that that's the revenue generating.
I agree.
That's what's going to, yeah. I feel that they think that's the future that's going to generate revenue for them. Because since we're no longer in the pandemic lockdown, they kind of have to, they want to move to that model. And it's worrisome because we've gotten kind of attached to these shows.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Like Andor, like The Mandalorian.
Well, for me, it's mainly The Mandalorian.
Okay.
Because I think that once Ahsoka's done, I think they're just going to have Filoni continue his Filoniverse in film.
Filoniverse.
Yeah, which is...
But why would they, though? They will have major movies and shows putting out there. And while they're good, make no mistakes, they have some small shows that they're not cute enough or they're not successful enough for them to get it out, outside of streaming services.
Yeah.
I get it. They're trying to make more money, and this is Disney we're talking about. But at the end of the day, Star Wars has always been a successful company since it started. So when it comes to small shows, we already know which one are the episodes, which are the shows that we're looking for.
Yeah.
We can actually just sit back and enjoy from the comfort of our home because we're not going to pay $20 for them to see it on the big show. Now, when it comes to other stuff, like movies and stuff, then we're willing to. Now, saying that they're gonna take it out of there, I would say it's a little bit of a stretch. They might fix it a little bit.
Well, they won't take, the shows will still be there, but I think what it is they're realizing that the subscriptions aren't generating enough revenue for them to cover. And Netflix went through this where they're operating at a loss like month after month after month, and so that's why you see the price increases, and and I've always thought that Netflix had higher production values than they needed. It's like, how much are you spending on the show? It looks amazing, and it's great, but it's like, how do you really need to spend that much on that show?
Yeah, they don't have really a budgeting.
Yeah, and I think what Disney and Netflix are realizing is that they can't continue to do that without, getting all the money they can from their subscribers. And it's like, at what point does it become like, do I really want to pay this? Am I getting enough fulfillment? Am I getting enough content? And with Netflix, it's like there's always something else. But is there something that I want to watch? Because how many streaming services can you get because everybody wants to do a streaming service now, whether it be Paramount, NBC,
even Criterion,
even Apple TV, and it's like,
name it.
Who
it's
wants
worse
to,
than cable now?
Well, who wants to pay for all of these? And it's like, if they're not getting that revenue, how can they continue to produce shows? And is it they can't? They can't. I mean, who wants to pay $20 a month just so they can watch Friends? And that's what's happening. They're watching
me, because Friends is trash.
That's an example, but
it's a trigger word. Friends.
Yeah.
We're friends.
Friends is not a good show, and I will die on that hill.
Well, with Friends or The Office.
Seinfeld.
Yeah, or Seinfeld.
Seinfeld is trash too.
Yeah.
And I will die on that hill.
Curb is better, but Seinfeld.
Curb is better than Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Curb is definitely.
Well, I think Curb Your Enthusiasm just cuts out the middleman.
Yeah, the middleman, the not funny man, the not funny lady, all them.
What's with these pretzels? They're making me thirsty.
Not
for me, dog.
Where do you guys think this is going to go? Because we've all said cable. We all talked about the way they started releasing weekly to keep people coming back month after month, like with the Star Wars shows, The Mandalorian, or the Marvel shows as well.
Yeah.
The Star Wars shows, the Marvel shows, and you see other streaming services starting to do this, where it's like they don't drop them all at once so you can binge them. Now they're kind of like feeding you a little bit at a time, because it's literally the only way to keep you, because they knew if they drop all the episodes, you come in, you watch it, you're gone.
Yeah, because you're going to get a month free.
Yeah.
When you sign up. So if they just drop them all, there's no reason to keep you on. I mean, they have their, I think as Jesse mentioned in the previous stream we did, they have their advertising in the shows. Netflix has their ad tier now and that sort of thing. But it still all comes down to the fact of how much is a stream really worth?
That's the question.
And I don't have an answer to that. I would like to know, and that's beyond television. That's going to music as well. Like, how much is a stream worth? We're putting arbitrary numbers on things, but how much is a stream really worth?
The music industry in itself is literally just like that.
Down goes Frazier.
Yeah, just like that crashing sound. It's kaput. And you can support artists locally, and that's like the only revenue they get. So it's a fickle time we're living in, because these artists have been getting screwed for over 20 years. Napster had its heyday.
Over 20 years.
Yeah, well, fair, more than fair, because
it's the music industry.
Yeah, the record industry in general. Good call. So, my solution, I would say, with streaming, starting with Disney, is to put 1 month trial, or not trial, but 1 month access towards this one show, like The Mandalorian. Like, that's all you're going to get. All the seasons available only for 1 month. That way they can pay for the show itself and not...
But that's the thing. Yeah. I don't think it does pay for the show. No. I mean, I don't think they have enough subscription money to actually... I think that's where they came in, and it's like, look, we're operating at a loss.
Yeah.
Because the way it used to work is that a network would sell like airtime for commercials,
right,
to like different kinds of companies, because the companies wanted to sell their product. And so what end up happening is they would take that money and buy shows from the studios, and then they would air them on TV, and streaming kind of took that away.
Yes.
Like cable, when cable came on, They didn't have the commercials, but they realized, like, look, we can make a shit ton of money. Well, at this point, yeah, we can make a lot on top of the subscription money by airing the commercials.
Right.
And I think this is what's happening with streaming. But with streaming, I think it's even a little bit more extreme because they don't have the money for the amount of stuff they're producing. But how do you attract people otherwise?
It's tough.
Well, it all comes.
It's tough.
I would say that it all comes to the base of microtransactions. Though, I could think about maybe for 1 month I'm gonna try by the end of the season, right? And I'm gonna see all the episodes, and I'm gone. But then I like the show, and I went to Will, and Will said, "Wait, Will, you gotta see that show.
Oh,
That's
God.
$6.
Microtransactions?
The microtransactions.
That's
and then
insane. Can you imagine?
No.
he didn't pay it, right?
Yeah.
But I paid it for 1 month. That's $6 they got out of me. Then he go.
But
that's
think
another
about
$6.
this. Think about what you're
Got
saying.
10,000 persons doing the same. That's $60,000.
The word microtransactions
Is terrifying.
triggers me.
It is.
Because can you imagine? It's like, okay, we just gave you 3 free episodes of The Mandalorian. You want to watch the rest of it? You're gonna have to buy like $2 to $5 per episode.
That's kind of the Amazon Prime way of doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
they do that for
that's
their shows.
rental.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they charge for rental, but you can rent an episode, or you
Well,
can buy an
they
episode.
But even if you
generally
don't see it
give
as an
you
episode.
or two for free.
Yeah.
And then it's like, all right, give me money for the rest of it.
But even if
Yeah.
you don't see it as just one episode after the episode, even if you see it, okay, I'm gonna buy whatever it's for this month, I'm gonna pay the premium subscription. That's still $7. They give you access to more stuff,
Yeah.
but in reality, you don't want to see the more stuff. You just want to see this. You know, it's still $7 that they got you out of your pocket.
But
and
how
then
does that cover the production costs?
it doesn't cover it?
Yeah,
But
that's
it's-
what I'm saying.
But things is like, let's say that they just market it that way, and moving forward, that's how they go. It's like, you don't even have to worry about these other shows. Just pay for this show. And then, like I say, if you had 10,000 persons, 100,000 persons paying $7, that's almost $1 million in there.
But then-
so at the end of the day, it might not pay the whole production, but it might pay at least someone else salary or a couple of people's salaries. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that's part of the problem that we have now, and I just want to say that we definitely stand with the writer's strike.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
That's the ethos of why we're doing this today.
a long point of contention for me has been the writing in Hollywood has stunk for a very long time.
yep.
Too long.
And after seeing the kind of money that they're getting, I understand why they put little effort into it, especially on Netflix.
Well, not only that, but just
you-
to give you a little bit more of that. Sorry about to interrupt you, Edwin. It's just about now we have writers on shows that they don't care for them at all. They just don't care. They just write just because they're getting paid a certain amount of money.
Well, think
just like The Witcher, just to give you an example.
Well, think about this. All right, so let's say you have your job, right? It's every day for the whole year. Every year,
Don't make me
right?
think about work.
So what happened is that these guys used to have like a regular job. Now it's a gig. It's not a regular job. It's not going to provide for you.
You're a contractor.
Yeah, essentially. You went from doing like 24 episodes, having a full-time job where you could be in the middle class, and now it's like, well, we're going to do 6 episodes of this show. That's it. You work on the show, you're going to go have to find something else. And it's like, instead of getting like revenue or residuals from like 24 episodes, you're only getting residuals from 6. And it's like, what? So you have to jump from show to show to show. So
It definitely doesn't pay the bills.
yeah, the production's the writing's gonna suffer because it's like this is just a gig. Once you're done with it, you don't care. I mean, it's Netflix too. The next season of this might not come out for another year, and so it's like, will you be working on that show? You don't know, and you might not even care because it's like, all right, you have to jump to the next thing in order to keep making enough to like live.
That's the way I say it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like we say, and again, a big sticking point for me is how do we commodify a view? Because if I'm a writer on the show and my episode airs on ABC and we get X amount of ad money, and we get, that I can say, oh, okay, we got this much ad money, we got that many, it translated to this amount of money, and we could divide that up. How is a view getting divided up for the people that's working on the show?
That's a good question.
And that is where the biggest thing for streaming for me lies. And I think this is where the strike is coming from. Yet me too. I'm happy. They want to know, how is this money going to get divided up?
Yeah.
How am I going to get paid for somebody watching this show? What is a view? If I watch it for 10 seconds, is that a view? Do I have to watch the whole episode to it be a view?
Similar to YouTube.
And that's another interesting thing, because Netflix essentially bases the fact on whether they're going to continue the show on those views.
Yeah.
So like they only do 3 seasons of shows because their analysis of it is that people don't keep watching past the 3rd season. That's why you don't have any shows that last longer than that, which is odd, because they will pick up shows that other networks have canceled.
Yes.
Just for the popularity of that show. And
they desperately need content.
Yeah.
They're kind of like Microsoft with the Xbox. They suck at creating their own content, so they got to buy up all the competition.
Well, because those shows.
That's how they get their money.
It's like, if we start talking.
I'm pro PlayStation.
Like, if we go back to the podcast, we've talked about the live action movies, the live action anime movies they've done, whether it be Cowboy Bebop or even when they did Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
One Piece.
And it's like, those movies are not that great.
Bleach.
But it attracts, they know it's going to attract people.
That's what Netflix does. Netflix always going to attract the fan base.
Yeah.
Netflix never creating any original content, and when they do, it also sucks. So that's what they do. Like, they already have an established fan base. Let me do a show or two and see what they think. It's great. Let me do a second show, see what happens.
Yeah.
And that's how they get their revenue. Because people like us, we like that stuff. We want to see a little bit of it. What is their idea? What do their writers want to do? But at the end of the day, it doesn't give us, much, or they just use content that was already there, comics that we already read and stuff like that. So,
well, it used to be where, like, you had Netflix because that was the streaming service, and you wanted to watch things that would come out, and so you pretty much had Netflix, and that was it. Or you had Amazon Prime.
Yeah. Hulu.
And now that they have
Hulu's
so many
around.
different ones, it's like, what's the point? And so in order to stay relevant, they have to keep trying to come up with new material, and it doesn't always work.
They don't have their own material to pull from. Like Paramount, they have their material to pull from. They have CBS. They have, I think they just partner with Showtime or whatever. They have Showtime. Max, which I hate, has HBO, which I love, and all the Discovery Plus stuff to pull from.
Yeah.
To the point where now they're pimping out their shows to Netflix to make.
Well, the crazy thing is that these are network-produced shows.
Yes. Yes.
And it's like, that's what streaming is like banking on, is that you're either your nostalgia or shows that are produced for networks, and that's kind of like crazy, because it's like they won't do that model, but that's the model that kind of like fuels them.
I mean, eventually Netflix was going to disappear. If we're going backtrack, and if we're going back years ago, we have Blockbuster. It come Redbox.
I don't
Tron,
know.
Redbox, and then they come Netflix. And how many people you can say that actually go to a Redbox now to actually rent a DVD? When you
I did.
No.
Oh, I did the Redbox hustle plenty of times.
Yeah, but are you going now though?
Huh?
Are you going now?
Sometimes where you get a gift card and you got like $1 left on it, and then you buy it.
Unless you already got someone, you don't go to the Redbox.
Do you know how many video games I got off of the Redbox hustle? Oh my Lord! Thank you, Redbox. You furnished my video games for a while, but I think Netflix is too big.
And that's
to
how Netflix
fail.
started, by the way. If you go back to the Netflix history, they started being like a Redbox type company where they rented it, they sent it to your home, and then they created then the streaming services.
Yes.
Where, like, as Edwin says,
Correct.
they were kind of like the big ones.
Yeah.
Now, like they say, if you already have a network base, I mean, they're eventually gonna die out. That's what I believe. So, but what I think is to give us a positive for it is that you have more availability to actually cancel your streaming service as well. You know, it's not like with cable. Cable, you need to pay for this for 2 years, and you get stuck if you don't want to use it no more. Now with this, it's a little bit more like, no, I don't want to use it no more. I'm gonna cancel this month and see what else.
I mean, you might see that with streaming. I don't think that Netflix is going to go away. I think you're going to see like what Jamal was talking about with Microsoft, is that they're going to start all buying each other, because this whole this whole like branching out of like streaming services, I don't think it's sustainable, and I think eventually they're going to start buying each other. And you've already seen that with like Discovery, Discovery Max. Yeah, now it's just Max. But yeah, I don't.
Terrible name for a streaming service.
I don't think people have enough money to pay for all these streaming services.
That's the other thing. Yeah.
No, and I don't have to. I do it to be nice, because I can find you on the internet without having to pay.
Yeah.
I'm not advocating that.
No,
but I'm saying I can find it.
We are part of an anime community, and I love paying. I paid for Crunchyroll since it started streaming.
Crunchyroll, I will pay for.
Hidive as well. Hidive's quality is best in the world. It is. Yes. And if you've seen Otaku Elf, if you've seen...
I knew he was going to leave with Otaku.
Hidive.
Dangers of My Heart.
Hidive has really stepped up with their like
quality
shows.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And Crunchyroll's finally like they're limiting seasons and stuff with that nonsense. They're condensing it at least.
No, I mean they still have seasons, but it's,
I meant the dubs. They put it together now.
It's poorly laid out.
Crunchyroll with dubs. Now you got Portuguese, you got Spanish, which I understand because people wanted to see it on their own language.
Right.
Yeah.
But this is getting to the point that it's too much, and they exactly.
Yeah.
And then not only that, but when they merged with Funimation stuff with Sony, they promised us that library, which we haven't get yet.
They're slowly, very slowly
doling
it out.
Crunchyroll
it. Member too.
And you know what I don't like is that they don't have. You can't tell if a show is new or not.
Right.
Like they used to have the release year. Funimation always had the release year.
Now they have topics. That's it.
And it's like I want to know when this show was released, or I want to know which shows are new and which shows were previously released. Don't like mix all them all together. And I'm watching a show, and I mean I don't mind if I like the show, but I'd like to have a general sense of like when I'm looking at okay, just have a section where it's like these are your new shows. These are not like a new show with new subtitles. This is not like something that you took from Funimation and now you're showing me here. It's like no. I want to see this season.
It's not a movie that you're labeling season 52.
Yeah. That's what is up with that. That's really weird.
I think they're trying to like divide with OVAs and stuff as well. I think.
Yeah, but it's like they'll say season 3, but it's season 33.
That was Kaguya-sama. That was Kaguya-sama.
It was really weird.
That's all of them. They have the movie. Like I watched the Dragon Ball Super movie again, and it was like season 36 or something. And I'm like, why is it randomly season 36?
Yeah.
I get that they have a lot of movies.
It's really odd.
It makes me miss Funimation.
And it goes back to what Alberto was saying. It's like, I got season 1 of the show, and then I think there's a season 2, but no, that's season 1 in Spanish. And then season 3 is in Portuguese.
Look, if you guys haven't checked
season 4 is the same one in French.
Yeah, it could be a lot clearer. It could be a lot clearer.
Look, one of the famous isekai, that time I got him reincarnated into a slime, just go to that library and you'll see how many seasons they have.
Yes.
Because they got everything. Not only they have the first 2 seasons, the original sub-anime. They got
that listing is like...
And then they got the same thing.
Got 20 items.
Portuguese, And then they got the movies.
Yeah.
And it's everything. So you're trying to find out just one episode that you just want to see. Just like got to go all the way down just to find out, because they don't have it all the top. They just have it all the way down. You have to scroll.
Well, the first season, and then 20 entries for each language, and then the second season, and then the 20 entries for that language, and that's fine. But make it easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crunchyroll is it's not very good to navigate.
It's not user friendly.
I still pay for it though.
Crunchyroll is not user friendly.
No.
It's right down there with Peacock as the most trash apps out there. Peacock and
now we agree.
Crunchyroll are trash.
Well, then they
agree.
also have like multiple, and this is one of the things that kills me about streaming. They'll have each app, like, whether it depends on the device that you're using.
Yes.
Because Funimation's app on some of the systems was like total garbage.
Yes.
It was total garbage.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
Crunchyroll,
And I was like, yeah.
on PC is completely garbage. Crunchyroll doesn't have no, like, I could do it from here. I know where to go. I go to my PC to see something on Crunchyroll. It's like, well, what am I looking at?
Crunchyroll, I'm telling you, Crunchyroll works best on the Nintendo Switch.
Weirdly enough, it
Believe
does.
me
It
on
does.
that.
Which
try.
makes
It works
a,
best
agree.
on the Switch.
which makes a lot of sense if you think about the target audience
does. It
for
does.
anime. Like that
pads in
makes a
general,
lot of
too.
sense.
Did you hear that they're coming out with the Switch 2?
Yeah, I heard
Like
about
next
that.
year?
Yeah.
Oh, they
something?
just had the Switch Lite, so now it's Switch 2.
I heard they're coming out with the
Now,
Switch
is that
2
going to be like
next
the
year.
handheld portable, or is it just going to be like,
I
or
think
can you
it's
still
gonna
do it
be-
like?
I think
Handheld
it's going to be like the same way this one is, but with
Okay.
a bigger screen and I don't know. It
They
sounds
finally
like,
gonna make it a
sounds like
console,
Switch
a
Pro.
real console.
Like, well, yeah, like I heard that next gen graphics.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
supposed to support 4K and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah, because they were trying to give you a little brighter clear with the OLED
Yeah.
thing, which
Yeah.
I think was a flop, to be honest. But they don't want to admit that. They
The
would never admit
OLED
that.
thing.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
gotta leave like Nintendo alone because
Oh, no,
they get
yeah.
like
Yeah.
they're so camera
They're
shy.
geniuses.
Yeah.
Where like whenever they mess up, they're like, we're gonna stop doing it. We're gonna stop.
Yeah.
We're gonna go back to doing card games. So you gotta like leave them alone
The
because
original
otherwise,
Super Mario
yeah.
Bros.
Yeah, they
The original
do
Super
definitely
Mario
know how
Brothers
to
movie.
reinvent this shit.
Yeah.
Testament to that.
Well, which one was it? It was one of the mini game consoles that
Uh,
really didn't sell well.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And to be
And,
honest,
like,
I was
they
a
were
fan
like-
of the micro. I loved it. I loved it. At
They
the
were
time I
like-
was in 5th grade, that was my go-to handheld. I
Yeah,
loved
they were
that
like,
phone.
we're gonna get out of the gaming business because of that.
Yeah,
But it was like, yeah,
they really get very sensitive,
yeah.
but they're also very innovative. I heard that
Well,
this
they
one
are.
is supposed
Either
to be
that or
like,
they're suing people anyway. So.
Yeah. I mean, they're always the first of the next generation to drop something. Like Nintendo's the only one that I'm loyal to. I'll always get the new Nintendo. PlayStation and Xbox is kind of like which one is going to be better. But Nintendo always.
I skipped PlayStation 3 for PlayStation 4. I still haven't gotten PlayStation 5.
I went PlayStation. I went PlayStation 1, and then I got the original Xbox, and then I went PS2, and then I got the 360. I dabbled with the 3 because I repaired somebody's broken one.
Yeah.
But by the time I did that, the 4 was out, so I went PlayStation 4. And the Xbox One rollout made me so mad that I was like, I'm not touching that. And then I went PlayStation 5.
And what Jamal just demonstrated was loyalty.
No, I did not demonstrate loyalty.
No,
I
but-
demonstrated I'm loyal to whoever puts out the better quality system.
Okay. That's a better referendum.
I'm loyal to Nintendo, though,
Okay.
because
But-
they get shot.
But that's the thing. Like, are we collectively loyal to Netflix? Are we collectively loyal to Disney?
Well, here's
Plus?
a- here's an interesting thing.
The bigger question is, are we collectively loyal to streaming services in general? And the answer for me is no.
At the moment, no for me.
I will never be loyal because I can always find you.
And for me,
I know
I
where
agree
to go.
with Jamal.
I
Yeah.
grew up
If you
with the
can
black.
find
I
it.
grew up with the black box. I ain't touched cable in 20 years. I refuse to go back. I'm doing this out of the kindness of my heart.
and for me, as an anime fan, I kind of want to have DVDs and Blu-rays making a comeback.
You kind of have to at this point, because with streaming, it's like they are constantly rotating content.
Yeah.
And once they take that content off, it's impossible to find. Like I told this story when I was watching Psycho Pass for your catch up. Like season 1 of Psycho Pass was on Hulu. Season 2 in the movies was on Crunchyroll. and season 3 and some other movies were on Amazon Prime. Like I had to go to 3 different streaming services
And
to watch this one show.
And fun fact, it started on Netflix.
Huh?
It started on Netflix. Netflix had a thing with Crunchyroll at one point.
Well, yeah.
It's the convoluted history. That's what I'm trying to get at.
I think HBO
Well, Crunchyroll
Max has a
Didn't
thing
it
with
actually start on
Crunchyroll,
BRB though?
Crunchyroll
Psychopath?
has done.
Psychopath, at least. Yeah. Fullmetal Alchemist.
Crunchyroll has done oddly like. They have teamed up. They've done like business.
Yeah, they've done a lot
They've
of
teamed
team
up with a bunch of different groups.
They're like Baskin Robbins and Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah. And it hasn't always worked out until Sony. And one of the weird things, when you were talking about the consoles, do you remember that Sony essentially had their own streaming? They wanted to launch their own streaming service. It was like Amazon Prime. You could rent and buy.
Yes.
And
Crunchyroll apparently was supposed to partner with that, I think.
Well, they partnered with Funimation for a while. And, like, it didn't work out. Like, they were like, no.
It didn't work.
But, like, I wonder if, because Sony's purchase of Funimation and then their purchase of Crunchyroll, I wonder if in the future they might try to do it again to compete by buying the same thing that Microsoft is doing, by buying different game developers. I wonder if at some point Sony will try to buy some of these streaming services in order to, like, at some point compete with Netflix or Disney.
They could.
They could.
I could see that.
They were not able to create their own content.
No, they can't.
No.
The thing is, they
can't.
actually lost an opportunity with 20th Century Fox, actually.
Yes.
So I don't know if they really want to go into all that, because if they already let this opportunity pass, it might be relevant in the future. I'm not saying they not might to, but 20th Century Fox came with a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
And then not only good stuff that was already created, but good stuff that was about to be created too.
Yeah.
And they let it pass. So when it comes to me, Sonny saying like, I'm really wanting into it, I don't know. Being a Japanese company, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if that's something that I really want to do into it.
Well, I think
when it comes to their movies itself,
I think with anime it was a smart move.
Yeah,
because
it was.
anime
That
is
was
becoming
hybrid,
so much. Because during the pandemic, the streaming services, everybody was watching anime, and because of the streaming services, when we talk this on the podcast, it's kind of the history of like
distribution.
Yeah, the history how anime became so much popular because of streaming.
Oh yeah.
Because it was like you had back in the day, it was like you were struggling to find these shows on whether it be like on net.
We would
essentially
have to go
like
Suncoast,
video cassette.
DVD.
Yeah.
It was a struggle.
Yeah.
It was
and streaming made it so much easier. So Sony's acquisition of Funimation and Crunchyroll kind of cornered the market for them on that.
Oh yeah.
It did. And it's like you said earlier, these companies seem like they're just going to start eating each other up. So, and every time you turn around, somebody's merging with something else.
Yeah.
So it can get scary because, I mean, now not only are they competing against themselves, but they're competing now against these free apps.
Yeah.
The free ad-supported apps, the Tubies, the Roku channels, the
Plex,
Plutos, Plex.
Yeah.
Like they're competing against them now, and those are starting to gain a lot of traction.
Yeah.
So that's a route that Sony could go.
I think Tubi is the one that's going to charge subscription now.
Tubi, like I like Tubi. I like Tubi, and I want to support them because
I think Tubi's part of Prime Video though.
They've been really good with supporting Black independent filmmakers.
Yes.
And they've also been really good at supporting really bad filmmakers. And you could get some great quality bad movies from there. Yeah. Like really funny, really bad stuff. And it's entertaining in a bad way, but funny. Just go through some of those Tubi movies. Find the ones with the most ridiculous titles, and they are as ridiculous as advertised.
Probably the funniest ones,
I'm telling you, trust me.
Well, that was one of the good things. I mean, in the 80s, you had so many production companies, and they were just doing anything they could to throw a movie together, just so they could release it and make the money from it, so that they could make their next production.
Branding the
to be
names.
honest,
And it's not a bad idea.
if we go by your point, that was George Lucas when he started. He almost did not make
he was
the
an
first
independent film. Yeah, he was an independent. He considered.
We almost don't have no Star Wars.
When he did the
Shark
the
Exorcist.
prequels, he used the profits he had made from like, each episode to make the next episode, and that way he didn't have to answer to the studios, because I think part of it was the way he wanted to do that opening scroll without the credits, and Hollywood is like, you can't do that, dude. That's not the way we make movies. And he's like, all right, I'll make it myself. I just need somebody to distribute it, and that's how it. Yeah.
That's how it came to be. Yeah.
Uh huh.
But we almost don't make it. That's my whole point. We going through your point. We almost don't make it because at some point he struggled multiple times to get money, to get people behind him, to sell the idea, then people who actually make the props, to actually record it. Multiple times the cameras that he used were cameras that were not like last generation. They were just from the warehouse somewhere down in Hollywood because they thought, well, your idea is crazy. It's not gonna sell. We're not going to put it out there. If you go back and saw those videos, we can see Star Wars to this day is one of the biggest companies that we have.
Lucasfilm,
Yeah, Lucasfilm itself, it attracts a lot of fans back then, and it still do to this day.
Yeah. Yeah, he shopped that script around to a lot of places, and nobody wanted to do it.
So that's the whole thing with, going back to that with, Sony. And, with the emergence of this company, if they really want to try to do something like that, they might want to have to fight to it. But there's other companies, like you said, like Jamal mentioned, Tubi is part of Prime Video. I think Sling, if I'm not mistaken, is trying to go through Disney too as well. So it might be, we might see more merger because, like you said, we don't expect companies to put stuff like that. And then if they're going to put, they need to put stuff there, it's not going to be quality stuff. Which at this point,
they all need content.
That's the only thing I'm expecting.
Well, producing
half
content
quality
and
stuff.
Whether or not they can do it with and that comes back to like the point that we always like bring up. It's like, can they produce the content for the subscription amount of money that they get? It's because that's their only revenue is that subscription money.
Right.
And it's like, do you have enough?
And the ad money.
Yeah.
And the ad money.
Well, I mean, that's when they decide to do ads, and they all decide to do ads because that subscription money just isn't enough.
Well, it's like, again, they have in-show ad placement, like the Coca-Cola can or the Ford Mustang or whatever.
Yeah.
So they have that too, but I mean, that's kind of how it is. And if you notice, a lot of them are starting to go to live content. So I know
sporting events. You mean?
Sporting events.
Yeah, okay.
Like I know the NBA has their NBA rights fees coming up soon, and that's going to be a big thing. The NFL went to Amazon Prime.
YouTube has surprisingly
night.
became a top contender because of that.
YouTube bought Sunday ticket, NFL Sunday ticket.
Yes.
So I mean, those rights fees are big, but again, those are one shots. So
it's the nature of the beast.
So, if you have the NFL and you have that marketing machine behind you, now how are you going to sell the ads for that? And how are you going to distribute that amongst the teams?
That must be That must be so
stuff.
much. That must be so frustrating for sports fans, because I was trying to watch the hockey playoffs.
Oh, it's not frustrating for me. I have my ways of watching what I want to watch.
We're wrestling fans. It's pretty much nature of the beast.
Yeah, but yeah. Well, I mean, that's just like that's something that they don't have to spend any production money on.
Right.
And that's
they love
like
their live content.
Yeah.
No production money at all. It's just like they're taking care of all the entertainment.
Well, that's when networks started to do like unscripted shows, like reality TV.
Yeah.
Because then they wouldn't have to pay an entire writer's room to create that content.
And you're
we sucks to
going
be
with
honest.
amateur
Reality
type people.
TV sucks. I don't know how people can watch. Just stand and see some other people's problems. Like, we already have enough of ourselves, right? Why would I see someone else?
Well, it's like a guilty pleasure. Like, people will get like, oh, this is fun, but yet it doesn't have the same quality. I think that like produced shows do.
There's some quality. It all depends on what you mean by reality TV.
And you'd be surprised who watches it. My one cousin is one of the smartest people I know. She watches annually and religiously The Bachelor. It's just what it is. like there's some type of like friendship with it.
Sometimes you
Some
just,
people,
it
some
should
people
take your
just like
mind-
that. They like the drama.
It's
Yeah,
I mean,
mindless
you know,
drama.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's like
It
acquired
writes itself.
taste.
Look, man.
And maybe he got into it, and then after that can get out of it. It's like acquired taste, you know.
Well, I think it's just meant to be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like it's like popcorn. You know, you eat it, and it's like that's it.
you got that many flavors, and then whichever you like. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Look, man, the flavor of love was tremendous.
RuPaul's
Flavor of
Drag
Love was
Race.
great stuff. So
I don't have a favorite reality TV show.
I mean, again, but what
Yeah.
this reality TV can be all encompassing because you could have a cooking show as reality
Yeah,
TV.
and even like National Geographic and Discovery and Home Network, they have their own versions.
but I don't think that those shows normally fall under the umbrella.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Of
I
reality
don't-
TV?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think when people think of reality TV, I think they think of stuff like Survivor and The
Yeah,
Bachelor.
low
I don't
production.
think they
Those
think
are
of
the yeah.
low
the
production.
other
at the end of
stuff. But even though it all is technically reality TV,
Yeah.
so what's one thing that you all would change about streaming, if you could?
the day. I would change personally accessibility of it. Like I said with the DVD thing, I think that should be a steady pipeline. Like, okay, we're going to stream it for a month, and if you want it, it'll be yours forever. You just have to pay for it. So,
I think that
Like, would you pay a premium for that?
well, that's the thing. That's a good call. Maybe there's a discount.
What if they down the line they decide to close the streaming service at all?
Yeah.
Even if you're paying a premium,
Crunchyroll, for
it's gonna
example, they give
disappear.
discounts for the store.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
Um,
think DVDs are starting to make a comeback anyway because, you know, as we were saying earlier, and I don't think we got the thought fully out, they're constantly moving this content on and off services to the point where you can't find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only
don't
option
know
you
who has
have
it.
is a DVD.
Yeah.
So
If you want to watch it when you want to watch it,
Yeah.
that's the main way to do it. Because unless you do that, you're not going to have access to
Yeah.
it.
I cannot
Like with-
find In Living Color anywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Wow. I'm surprised by that. That's a really good show.
I haven't been able to find
I think
it.
it, yeah, I
anywhere.
think it had a DVD run initially. Yeah.
No, like you could get the DVD, but streaming
streaming wise, yes.
wise.
Yeah.
So they're like, you know, it's stuff like that. Like nobody's going to stream the Cosby Show anymore. We know why. So, I mean, if you want to watch it because you enjoyed it as a whatever, you got to find the DVD.
Yep.
Not only that, but they're very expensive now. Whatever movie you wanna watch or show from the '90s, just the '90s, it's gonna cost you about $40, just maybe
Well, if
the
you can
first
find
season.
it. Yeah,
And
if you can find it,
that's the
yeah.
other thing,
Yeah. Because people don't really sell DVDs
I do
like that
like-
anymore.
that's
But
one
they
of the
might
things
be
I
like
like
vinyl.
about-
They might make a comeback.
That's one of the things I like about Prime.
Yeah.
Is because you can rent a show,
Yeah.
If
or you can buy a season.
They're
if
originators.
If
it
they
is
have it.
still on
Yeah.
there.
if it's still on there.
If
yeah.
it's still on there.
And Amazon just has crazy amount of rights, and even with the anime as well.
It's Amazon.
Yeah.
All right, so what would you change?
One of the things I'd lower the production values.
Okay. Yeah.
I recommend to them. It's like, I know that part of that is like is the way they attract people,
Mhm.
but like I said, I don't think it's sustainable. Maybe have one show that's really well produced, but do your comedies need to look like that you spent $1 million, you know, like several $1 million per episode? I don't think so.
No.
And I think that would really help to keep the cost down, because it's like, make it cheaper.
Yeah.
You know, produce it cheaper. Use that money for your writers and your actors and your subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
You know-
yes. You can't forget about the customer. That'll be the number one thing.
I mean, to be honest, and I asked Jamal about this earlier, it depends on the network itself, because HBO put Game of Thrones, and for 10 years, they were at the top. And
Well, HBO
their episodes were basically about $7 million, and then they had a lot of cosmetics, a lot of props and stuff like that, and they still made it. But one thing I gotta say about Game of Thrones, though, is when they came out to be the final season, they busted out. Even
They
when having
were-
all this money. So
They were spending about $10 million
Yeah.
per episode. And then that final season,
it was trash.
the
But-
production, well, yeah, but they were spending so much money on each episode that it was insane.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then people ended up not being happy
At all.
with the resolution of the show.
But HBO is in a different class because
agree.
they're premium cable. So they were already charging you
A lot.
to see their content each month, even back on cable, so they could afford, because they're making their own content. And if you want to dive into the history of HBO, there is a great book by James Andrew Miller called Tinderbox. It is like 900 pages, but it dives all into the no, it's a history of HBO.
When it first started, gotcha.
No, it's a history of HBO from beginning to end.
Yeah.
And their focus was more on producing a quality product.
Correct.
But not breaking the bank on it either, though.
Yeah, they started off. The thing that really helped them catch on, that really popped the channel, was the Rumble in the Jungle.
Oh, I was about to say boxing for sure. Yeah.
Yes, it was the Rumble in the Jungle, Ali Frazier. And that was what first really got them from being in the negative to going to the positive.
Okay.
So they saw the value in that live sporting event early, because before, if an event happened in Africa and the Philippines, overseas, it would take days, weeks for that to get transferred over to the United States.
Yeah.
So when they were able to go live via satellite, it changed the game. So, and again, they've been in the business of creating content for so long that they're able to monetize their content. So not only do you have to pay for the HBO channel, but all right, you're not paying for the HBO channel, you're going to pay for this app. So we have the money to spend $10 million on Game of Thrones, because not only do we have these cable subscriptions, we have these app subscriptions, we have the ads, we have the ads, we have the merch. Like, they have all of that. So they're in a little different. They're in a slightly
multi-tiered
different place.
financing.
Absolutely.
The streaming.
I think it might
But
be
the
our
streaming
cue.
services don't have the access to that.
Correct. So Alberto, what would you change?
I would definitely the price. I think they're getting too greedy.
Yeah.
It's like we started at $3, $4, $5. Now, just to give an example, although HBO is royalty, it's almost $20. Disney, we know that they're always going to be greedy. They jump from $30, it's almost $120. And yeah, they might offer you some additional content through Hulu and, ESPN, but still, as someone who really don't dab into Hulu, ESPN, I'm not going to pay $120 for maybe like 3 shows. Like you said, Jamal, I have other ways to look up them and, find them online. So, to be honest, I think that, and that's one of the major reasons people are kind of backtracking on it, on what you were saying. They trying to, just try to see which ones are they going to play this month, because at the end of the day, we still have bills to pay. We still have other interests to go through that we like and stuff like that. We still have to put food in our table too. So the streaming services, it might die. DVD might come back. So let's just hold onto it. But if they ask me, Alberto, what would you change? Price. I think $5, $7 is good enough for streaming service on a month basis. That's still $70, $84, $85 per year. So I don't know.
Now, one of the interesting things is, like, when we talk about the DVDs and stuff, it's like when we play games, they don't really want to make those physical copies anymore.
Right.
It's all collector's editions now.
Well, because what happens is that creates a resale market that they do not want. They do not like it, and they do not want. They can sell you as many digital copies constantly, and that money goes to them
Directly.
But with the
There's no
DVDs,
middleman.
that money does not go to them, especially in a resale market. And so it'll be interesting to see.
That's
like,
how GameStop made their money back then.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, like, 20 years from now, what content got put on DVD and what content didn't. Like, what shows will be available for you to watch on a physical medium and what won't be, because they'll be like, no, you have to come to us. We're not going to do this because we want you to come to us. That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
So they might
Because,
get
like Jamal
into-
said, he can't find in living color, and it's like, is that, like, kind of intentional?
It might be. It
Yeah.
might be completely intentional. They might want to rack up the price. If a lot of people is looking just for one thing, if we do the price of, we were selling at $35, but now we have blocked the access for them we might need to sell it at $45, $50 because now we have a bunch of 100,000 persons that want to see all this. So if you do the math, 45, 100,000, that's almost 500,000.
All right. So, real quickly before we go, I would go the HBO route. I would focus on quality, starting with the writing. Make a quality written show. Make a quality television product. I don't need it to be 20 seasons. I don't care if you got 2 seasons of good quality content. Give me that.
Correct. Yeah.
I will come back. When you build that relationship with me, I'll keep coming back. And evidence of that is Edwin was so dejected by the Star Wars movies that it was really difficult for me to get him to watch The Mandalorian. But once he saw it, he enjoyed it, and the quality of the show had him coming back to watch more.
Yeah.
And if you continue to do that,
It happened to me with the Boba Fett.
We'll keep coming, yeah.
they'll
That
keep
Boba Fett
coming
show?
We'll
back.
keep coming back.
And put Comey Can't Communicate on DVD, please.
That's your fault, Jack. All right. So that is it for us. Thank you for attending.
Thank you for joining us,
Thank you all
guys.
for joining. We blabbered
Thank
too
you.
much. We didn't get to ask you any questions. But thank you.
Thank you.
Catch us on anytime, YouTube, Spotify, all that good stuff.
Alrighty, thank you guys.